Hi, here with Peg City Soundoff, here with a Canadian rock legend. So happy to have you here, Larry Gilstrom from Kickaxe. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. So I'd originally reached out to you a while back because it was the 41st anniversary of your Vices album, one of my favorite albums, definitely, especially of its time. Also the Welcome to the Club album as well, 40 years old. So very
Yeah,
happy to have you here to talk about that.
amazing to still be talking about it after that much time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing to
So
still be alive.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, definitely people haven't forgotten. I can tell you that people remember the those albums. Some great tunes from all of those albums there. So I did want to talk to you as well about just kind of your time that you've spent in Winnipeg. Kickaxe has been spent a lot of, or sorry, played a lot of shows in Winnipeg. Spent a lot of time here. What does Winnipeg kind of mean to you when you think about it? When you think about some memories from Kickaxe shows.
Well, first of all, I start off with saying Winnipeg was probably the most pivotal city of Kickaxe's career. It had a lot more to do with our success than anywhere else on the planet. And I think most of the people in Winnipeg know that. Um, there's a long story, but I can paraphrase it to say, we were sort of a club band as Kickaxe, playing some of our own material and playing a lot of top 40 so we could make money, and mostly in the Vancouver scene. Then we go out in Calgary, Winnipeg occasionally. But, then we changed and said, we're tired of doing this and we want to do what we really want to do. And we did make some changes to the membership and created more the type of heavy metal band we wanted to be. We had a lot of
Hmm.
material already written that we couldn't play anywhere because it just didn't go over in those kinds of clubs. And then we came on and played those same clubs with our new approach and all original material. And you know what was to be expected. A lot of these clubs say you'll never be back. And you
Yeah.
say, like, I mean, what is that? And we said it's us, and it's really what we are. And we kept touring and playing places. And we remember when we first came into Winnipeg and we played the Black Knight, which is I don't know if it's still there, but
I
it
don't think
was
so, but I've
it
heard
was
you
a
talk about it before.
yeah, it's a big bar, and
Hmm.
the Monday night it was you know just some scattered people in there, and but they all seemed to pay attention, and 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 the response for the amount of people was really great. So we said, well, those are kind of the kind of people we're looking for. The next night the place was half full, and we said, wow, that's a big difference from last night. And they were all up front and they were all paying attention. And then the next night it was full. And that's a Wednesday night. The, the place is saying we haven't had a Wednesday like that in years.
Yeah.
And by the weekend, it was full with a lineup down the street. And we had realized that now we've got a real following of people who are coming to see the band for what it is. And I still remember that as being, a real turning point. And then, we had a Gary Stratachek come out and see us there, and he wanted to manage the band, and we said, sure, see what you can do. And he went down and got us a record deal with Spencer Proffer when Spencer had the top album on Billboard with Quiet Riot. So we said,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, we'll sign with that guy. That's how can we go wrong there? And we went down and toured a little bit more until Spencer was ready, and then we went down there to Hollywood, recorded the Vices album, which was quite an experience for a bunch of prairie guys. And that was,
Yeah, I can imagine.
that's a long story in itself. But when we finished that album and came back up, and we were, starting to play places in Canada again before the album was released, and still getting a fairly good crowd coming out of people who really loved our music. We thought this is still going really good. But then
Hmm.
the album came out, and we had to go back down to Hollywood to do a bunch of promo stuff. And then when we came up, the first place we played was Brandon, and we were just stunned that everybody knew the songs off of Vices, and the place was full and it was going crazy. And from Brandon, we went to Vancouver, and that night we went out. The night we got there, we saw Judas Priest was playing at the Coliseum there, so we went and saw Judas Priest and loved their show. That was it was just, we just loved the band. We always had, and
Yeah.
so the next place we played was Calgary, and it was at the radio station. Me and Victor were doing an interview, and we finished our interview, played Heavy Metal Shuffle, and then we walked out, and Rob Halford was there doing an interview as well. And so we talked to him, and he said he heard the song, and he said, I really like that. And we told him where we were playing in Calgary, and he said, I'll come down after our show and catch your last set. So, and he did. And he loved it, and we partied with him for about an hour afterwards. And he said the band Great White that was touring with him then was only going to do the Canadian dates, and so they were looking for a band to start the U.S. tour with. And we said, well, we're playing, in Winnipeg. If you can bring, your people down, and maybe we can get on that tour. And he said, yeah, I will push for that. So we went and played Winnipeg at the Black Knight again, and
Nice.
it was full with just crazy, crazy fans. It was just awesome. Same night, a big agent from Detroit was coming to see us, and he was the agent for the Scorpions and Ted Nugent and a bunch of other bands, Nazareth. And at the time, it was, he was a really big time agent for a lot of the hard rock bands that we really liked. So
Yeah.
we really wanted to impress him, and we knew Judas Priest were coming down after their show then. And they all did show up, and almost, I think almost the whole band from Judas Priest and most of their crew and some of their management. And we had a really good night in the Black Knight. And then we talked to them all afterwards. It was, all positive. And then we waited about 2 or 3 days. Then we got the news we had the tour, and it was just
Nice.
like, wow, this is going to be amazing. So that was pivotal, and all the pivotal stuff happened in Winnipeg.
Amazing. I wish I could have seen that show because that was probably
Yeah.
an amazing tour. So where did you start with them? Do you remember what city it was that you started with Judas Priest then?
Well, just as we were heading down, we also had a song on the soundtrack, Up the Creek, which was 30 Days in the Hole. And that got to be a big hit in Nashville. We were going to play this festival called One for the Sun in Nashville. We got there, and we'd never played that size of a crowd. It was like 15 to 20,000 people.
Oh wow.
We were driving in our captain's van, which was
Yeah.
a nice van with swivel chairs, the big giant windows on the side. We pull up at the gate, for entertainers and staff and stuff, and say, yeah, we're Kick-Axe. They go, no, you're not. Yes, we are. He goes, no, Kick-Axe will have a big tour bus and be coming, they're the second last band. They're
Yeah.
the number one song on Nashville radio. And we said, no, we're Kick-Axe. Then they confirmed that, okay, you're Kick-Axe, but the promoter doesn't want you driving down there in the van, so we got a tour bus for you. So they gave us
Wow.
a tour bus. We drove down there. We didn't realize that the writing on the front of the tour bus said, show us your tits. Driving down there, and the guy who was driving us said, watch this. And there's a bunch of girls walking by, and it was kind
Yeah.
of a really hot day, and everyone was in kind of bikinis and stuff like that. He honked his horn, and they all flash us. Well, how'd you make that happen? He goes, well, go outside and look at the front of the bus. So we said, wow, this is amazing. And that was a great tour. That was a great concert. We Greg Allman went on before us, and Peter Criss went on before us, and we went on just before Rat. And that's our first
Wow.
experience of a big concert like that. We drove straight from there to the first Judas Priest show. I believe it was somewhere in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and it was rained out. And so, bummer.
Oh.
Our first show with Judas Priest, we
Yeah.
didn't get to play it. The actual first show was in Greenbow, North Carolina, and that was great. We were just nervous as hell because
Yeah.
we're going to open for Judas Priest in a place we've never been before. Does anyone even know who we are? We don't know. We have no clue. But we went on really nervous. But you can turn that nervous energy into excitement, and I think that we were ready to do that. So when we went on, we were quite comfortable because we're really comfortable with ourselves as a band, and we really felt like we did have something that people were going to like.
Yeah.
And we did, and the crowd went pretty good for us. They were obviously waiting for Judas Priest, but they did respond really well for us, almost an encore. And we said, well, I think that went well. A couple of members of Judas Priest, I believe is Ian Hill and Glenn Tipton, came back after and said, yeah, the crowd really liked you guys. I think this is going to be a great tour. And we were just like looking at these guys in the dressing room talking,
Yeah,
like, wow,
just on cloud nine.
this is amazing. And
Yeah,
then we did 40 cities with them, so just great.
amazing.
Didn't party with them all the time. It wasn't a party all the time tour, but and we were a bit younger than them, so we could sustain longer after them. And
Yeah,
we only had to play 45 minutes. They had to play an hour
true.
and a
Yeah,
half. So, but we got to see Judas Priest play 40 times because we always watched their show every night.
that's amazing. Amazing. And you talked about as well going out to Los Angeles to do some of the media for the Vices album.
Mm-hmm.
You also got to do a music video out there. I think it was the same place that they had filmed the music video for Hot for Teacher out at Hollywood High School, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah,
What was that experience like?
yeah. It was exciting. It was right in the middle of the Judas Priest tour. We had to miss Salt Lake City to do it, and the guys in Judas Priest told us we missed a good one, but and we had no idea what the video was going to be like, and we got there, and there was this Vices puppet they were preparing to do it,
Yeah.
and a model who was going to do the high school thing with us, and a boardroom full of actors. We had a lot of fun for sure
Yeah.
doing the video. It was just crazy in the middle of a Judas Priest tour doing a video in Hollywood with some real sort of memorable places that we were doing them in.
Hmm.
And then we had to get back onto the tour, and the next place was I think it was Boise, Idaho.
Oh my.
So we had to leave right away. So we got our
Yeah.
guitars, got on the plane, and we hadn't had sleep in days doing this video. And then we landed changing planes in Denver, and we got on the plane from Denver to Boise, and a fire had started in the engine, so everyone had to get off, and they were not going to fly that plane. We had to find our own
Yeah.
way to Boise, and it was the night of the concert. So that was challenging, and we did find a flight that took us to Minneapolis, and then we could fly from there to Boise. And we flew there in Minneapolis. It was just like a twisters and a hurricane going on there, basically. It was just a
My
really
word.
bad thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Scary landing there. It was freaking us all out. Still haven't slept
I was
a wink.
just gonna say, still on no sleep.
And we got to
Plane's
Boise, Idaho. It
shaking.
was too late for the crew to get our gear, get us set up. They didn't know what was going on. So we actually used Judas Priest's spare guitars to do our set because we had to just get there and go on stage.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit scary because we usually have a little bit of preparation and
I can
rah,
imagine a little bit of
rah,
sleep
rah,
maybe
rah, and
too,
get
even if
ourselves
it's just a
hyped.
little.
All of a sudden, I've got a guitar that I've never played before. I mean, it was a great guitar. It was Glenn Tipton's spare guitar,
Okay.
but
It's better than
it went
nothing, but yeah, if you're
it went
used
over
to,
really well. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
And the video is, at the time, some people thought it was a little bit cheesy, but that was the time, and
I mean, that's a lot of the videos were like, this, especially with the every video back then had to have kind of that cheesy monologue or intro at the beginning, kind of same thing with Twisted Sister obviously had that, and
yeah.
yeah, it's kind
I
of how
don't
it
know how
goes.
they felt about it, but we really tried hard to get that not on there. It's like, can you just show the band,
Yeah, maybe just the music.
some of the things were okay, and then some of the things
Yeah.
were questionable. But I think that the song is a great song, and then that always shines through.
How did you decide to use the name or the song name Vices for the album name? Because you look at that album and so many good songs and so many titles that probably could have been the album name, whether it's Road to Rock or Cause for Alarm or anything like that. How did you go with Vices, or how did you decide to go with Vices?
Well, it was Spencer's decision, but we
Hmm.
kind of agreed with him that it was good. It came after we had wrote the song Vices with Spencer. We were at his house. We were all in a good mood, and we had some of the music down, like sort of the bass tracks down, and we were working on the lyrics and the melody for the song. And in the end, we really liked the song, and he said we should just name the album this. And then he said we got this artist who's going to do the album cover, and we're going to do this big Vice. I tried to say to Spencer, well, that's spelled Vise, and this is Vice, but he said, no one's going to notice. So probably not, but
Yeah.
at the same time, he had this painting that was going to be the cover, and it was this, the Vice character, and then we started calling Brian, our drummer, the Vice, and he was the voice of the Vice. I wish they would have used his voice instead of Spencer's on the video, but That's how it came about, with the song generating the painting, which was going to be the album cover. We decided afterwards, and then so that was obviously going to be the name of the album.
Okay, no, that makes sense. That's awesome. Another Winnipeg tie-in that you've had in the recent few years is that you actually play on the Chris Jericho cruise. So he does a cruise where he's got wrestling there. It's a music festival, everything. What's that experience like doing a or playing a music festival on the sea, basically, or on a boat or a ship?
Well, there's a long backstory to that. I mean, Chris Jericho has been our friend since way back in the Vice's Welcome to the Club era. He came up on stage at an early show for the Welcome to the Club tour and sang "A Little Help from My Friends" with us. We bring a
Right.
lot of people up on stage, but he just
Yeah.
came up there and he really stood out up front and was just wailing away with George there singing.
Yeah, I think his friend won a contest, right? He wrote into the Winnipeg Sun to win a contest to come up on stage, and I guess Jericho was the one he brought with him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was quite the character, and we talked to him afterwards and everything. And then he stayed in touch with us for years after that. Always a big fan of the band.
Yeah.
And he was talking to Victor and say, I'm doing these cruises. I'd really love you guys to come on one of these cruises. Can you do that? So we talked about what we would need to do it and whether he could provide that, and what would it be like for us, and what would it be like for him. And it sounded okay. It sounded like this is going to be fun, and Chris is going to take care of us. Make sure that this is going to be something
Yeah, it's being
good
done
for us.
right. Yeah.
And we went there, and everything worked according to plan. We got on the cruise ship, got our gear all in there, and we're getting ready. And we looked at the various stages we were going to play on. And first night we're going to play on the main stage on the outer deck of the boat. And we thought, well, that's
Nice.
great. That's the main stage.
Yeah.
But a big storm came up, and he said, well,
Oh.
and so Chris told him, I don't want Kickaxe's first thing to be out in a storm like that. So
Yeah.
he switched us with another band who played in the storm, and he put us in the club sort of room that was there. And then just before we went on, he came on the loudspeaker through the whole boat and said, "My favorite band, Kickaxe, is playing in this room. I'm heading down there right now to catch their set. Hope to see you all down there," which,
Nice.
which is an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
there's I don't know how many people are on the boat, but that place was full. And I know it wasn't full for another artist that I'd seen before there. And I thought, well, Chris pulled all these people in. They're there because
Yeah.
he's there. And we had a great set and an encore. And he came up and sang "Road to Rock" with us.
Oh, that must have been amazing.
And it was
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. But before we even went on, he came into the dressing room, and I hadn't seen him in like 10 years. He came in and he goes, "Larry," and all this stuff. And we're talking.
That's a good impression.
All right. And he goes like, "I just can't wait. I'm going to catch every one of your shows. I love your band." And so we said, "Well, you want to do a song?" He said, "Sure." We said, "How about Hellraiser?" He said, "Well, he says, "I know the song, but," he said, "I don't know the lyrics as well as I do the Road to Rock. And I don't want to be mumbling the lyrics up there." So
Yeah.
he said, "Let's do Road to Rock." And I know every single lyric to that. And so we said, "Yeah." And he hopped the fence on the side of the stage and came on and did that song with us. Really good. And he showed up at every one of the various venues on the boat that we played on. So they were always packed, and they were always really fun. I expected it to be a rowdier crowd, but it's more
Yeah, I was wondering. I was going to ask
more
that.
more of a nerdy crowd. Like it was like wrestling nerds, and they were all really friendly to each other, and there was no violence,
Yeah.
no negativity at all. Everything was very positive. Everybody was just having a great time. So I was very surprised that it was just so smooth and so calming. Actually, it was a great experience. We've told them we'd do it again, but it is logistically it's difficult.
Yeah, it's a little different than just driving up to one music festival one night or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, and these days we're not as comfortable, going into the states and going back out of the states and back
Of
in.
course, yeah, I totally understand that.
It's just it's a different world.
Yeah, definitely. Well, luckily you have a very good following here, and like you mentioned with Chris Jericho there, that he's been a fan of you for so long. I see that with pretty much anybody who is a fan of Kickaxe, has been a fan of Kickaxe, they're gonna stay a fan of Kickaxe. whether it's someone who walks up to me when I'm wearing my Kit Kat shirt or anything like that. Winnipeg definitely remembers Kit Kats, and I mean you were just out here not that long ago too. I think you played in November with I don't think it was Killer Dwarfs. I think it was Helix you played with at Club
Yeah,
Regent maybe.
yeah. We played with Helix at Club Regent, and
Yeah.
that was a great one. We did a live video from there, and you know, because we had some great people there, Dean Zarowski and Phil Kwan helping us on the stage, and they set everything up so that we recorded everything with very high quality, and um, and we took a lot of fan videos and merged that with the high quality live video, and
Hmm.
did Heavy Metal Shuffle, and I thought it was a
Yeah.
really good example of the band live now. So a lot of people really liked it.
That's awesome. And yeah, you guys really managed to keep to your roots, stay true to the kick sound, I would say. Even with some of your new songs. I know you released a couple songs in 2023, Blackout Crazy, which is one of my favorites. I really like that one.
Yeah,
And Run to the Thunder as well. What has it been like working on some of the new music or the new
it's
album
been
that's upcoming?
it's been great. Those were kind of demos that we felt we got to get something out there because we're playing these songs live and we want people to actually know them before we get there.
Hmm.
And so we released those early. They were close to what they're going to be. So we thought, well, you know, we're going to add a little bit more to them before they get on the album. But it was great that people knew the songs when we were playing them. And Blackout
Yeah, they're
Crazy,
great.
it's just 3 minutes of mayhem. It's just
Yeah, it's
went over
amazing
really
live.
well and a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I think I saw you perform it at Rock in the Fields a couple years ago, and maybe even in Regina. I saw you at Shake at the Lake. You might have played it that night too, but
Yeah, we did.
really good tune, especially live. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it was written to be live, and the other
Hmm.
six songs that are going on our new album are very similar. They're all written to be played live, written in the spirit of the '80s, which was our favorite time, and we really enjoy playing these songs now. And it's
Yeah,
just we've got it all recorded. We need to mix it and get the mastering done, and we have some more, some outsiders coming in to do a lot of that for us. Some reputable people. I don't want to mention them right now because I haven't closed the uh, the deal with some of these people, but um,
but it's in the works either way.
it's in the works,
Yeah,
and just trying to. Again, it's a logistical thing because everybody's got things going on and trying to get everything lined up
for
at
sure.
the same time. But I'm hoping to have it out in fall, and it's basically for us. The album, it's for us, and it's for our dedicated fans. And we're not
And
trying
that's
to.
worked for you so far,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing with Stadia Roots. That's always kind of worked for Kick-Axe, and no reason to change that now. You guys are definitely always onto something with that.
yeah, and we'll just see where it goes. We're going to put a little bit of marketing and a little bit of energy into promoting it, but we're not trying. Like I said, we're not trying to conquer the world or restart a career or anything like that. It is it is just for our own pleasure, actually, and we do want to have a full album out with Danny singing on it. He's been singing with the band since 2007.
Yeah,
We should have a song out there with some of these songs that he's written with me and the other guys in the band.
for sure.
And so this is it. And this is I think they're great songs. That I think people are going to really like them.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like they said, the first two I've heard so far, and that was actually my next question was working with Daniel on this album. Though, like you said, he's been in the band so long, but this is the first time that you're putting out an album with it. What's it like working with him, writing some of these songs as well?
It's great, as you know, or probably know, Daniel's also from Regina, which
Yeah,
where every one of us come from. Raised just a little out of Regina, but he qualifies as a guy from Regina, and uh, so it makes us all, we're really like brothers, and we go to dinner with each other and just have a great time. Danny fit in just perfectly with the rest of the group. We couldn't have been more happy with somebody who came in and really got involved and really got really proactive about pushing the band to do things and getting involved in the writing. And
yeah,
you know, it's nice to have somebody who really still has a lot of enthusiasm for what the music industry can provide. And
yeah.
um, yeah, so it's been a pleasure working with Danny.
And he had big shoes to fill as well. There, I mean, those songs are, I would imagine, very challenging.
Yeah, they are challenging. He can't sing them all, but George was one of the best singers I've ever heard, and it's
Yeah.
always hard to compare yourself to that. And he's held to that high bar, and live, I think he reaches that bar. It's trying to get him to reach that bar in the studio.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm trying different techniques to get him into that live space where he really shines. And, I think it's working.
Yeah, definitely. And like I was gonna say earlier, sorry, your band also what you're known for is kind of harmonies. There's a lot of songs, most of your songs that have some amazing harmonies. I know a song not a lot of people talk about as much, but "Whoa" from Kick Axe 4. It's a really good song. "Cause for Alarm" has some amazing harmonies as well. And it just seems like that was kind of the direction that you always wanted to go with the band direction that you have gone. That's kind of a concerted effort in the beginning. It seems like.
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Everyone in the band, from the early days, everyone in the band had taken a turn at trying to be a lead singer at one point or
Yeah.
another. And so everybody wanted to sing. Everybody's always wanted to sing. And I generally, had a good knack for arranging harmonies. And so every song I would be immediately trying to think, where can we put some cool harmonies in this song?
Yeah.
And we're still, on the new album, we're still trying to do all of those, you know, big harmonies that some of our voices don't reach the notes they used to, but find, some of the harmonies are now a little more low, a little more manly, but
Yeah, but they're there.
yeah. So I mean, some of us can't hit, way up there in the high soprano stuff, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's a major part of the Kick-Axe sound is having harmonies and placing them in the right places.
Yeah.
And Ray's still, a great singer. He's still playing, almost every night with his other group, which is an Eagles cover group, which is probably one of the most popular and successful cover groups in around here. They just, they get booked all the time, and
Yeah.
he's the Joe Walsh character in that. So, and he does a good job of that. They're all really
Awesome.
great singers, and obviously the Eagles cover is lots of harmonies in that. He uh, he fits into that. We go see him do that every once in a while. They're all really great guys in that band, and
Yeah.
they're all from. Some of them are from Regina as well. So it's one guy's my second cousin actually from Regina, and
Oh, okay.
it's really good to just to meet those guys and talk to them. They're all kind of in the same pocket as we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And obviously, I want to keep things positive here, so I'll be very brief about this. But one thing as well, I've always noticed about Kickaxe when I talk to people about Kickaxe is a lot of people kind of think that you guys just disappeared at one point, or just maybe lost momentum, or people don't really know kind of why that happened. But you kind of were in a bad situation, from what I understand, where you were going on your first tour, headlining with the Welcome to the Club album, and kind of got in a situation where somebody basically ran away with the money for the tour, wasn't paying the bills for the tour, and I just bring it up only because, like I said, it does seems like everyone I talk to about Kickaxe doesn't know that, and it's like, yeah, something happened there with these guys. Like they
Something
got,
definitely different. Something definitely happened. We
yeah,
were doing this tour, and we thought everything was set. And then all of a sudden, we arrive in Winnipeg, and after the show, there's a bunch of sheriffs that took all the guitars and all the equipment, and you know said that it was a judgment against the band. And then we talked to Gary about it, who's the manager, and he said, "Well,
yeah,
I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it." I said, "Okay." He said, "Just go to Thunder Bay and do the show tomorrow." I said, "Well, we have no gear, no
yeah,
guitar."
they just took everything.
I said, "Just go there. I'll get it straightened out." And later, we found out from other people that he wasn't paying the bills and that he was really far in debt with cocaine debts,
Okay.
and he was paying those off because I guess he's going to get his knees busted
Well,
or
he was still
something.
getting his money from Kickaxe. It just,
Yeah, and he also
yeah,
took out a $60,000 loan from the record company in our name and didn't tell us about it. And so that was pending as far as debt that was owed, and all these trucking companies and other companies. We find out one after another that none of them have been paid,
yeah,
and so we obviously fired him. But we still
yeah,
owe all of this money, and we
yeah. You're the
kept trying to,
headlining band. It's your name on
yeah,
the paper. Yeah.
and we kept trying to play. And we went and talked to all these people, said we can pay them off slowly from these gigs.
Hmm.
But one company in Winnipeg, it was Weston Lighting, didn't want to wait, and they got a judgment executed, and and took all the money from that gig, which kind of cascaded into us not being able to play the next
Well,
gigs.
yeah.
And we were worried about, now that they've taken it, that we can't follow our obligations we promised to the other people who we owed money to. So now it's really kind of a, cascading down the line.
Yeah, it
And,
snowballs.
so now we started having getting money up front, and a lot of people in venues then weren't that comfortable with that, and it just got really difficult. We didn't know where we
Yeah.
could play without some sheriff showing up and taking everything. So we decided to, cool it for a while, and just, wait and see what happens. And we played around Vancouver, just and hung out as a band, trying to figure out what we're going to do next. I mean, we recorded the Rock the World album mostly with
Yeah.
our own money. There was some support from the record company, but not much. So we had a limited budget to do that album, and so a lot of things went wrong with that album.
And you're dealing with all the stress at the time, and there's so much. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
great album, by the way. It certainly is. Love the cover art, especially for that album. But
Well, the cover art was a weird thing that happened. It was
yeah.
one of George's friends was supposed to do the cover art, and he submitted something that could not possibly be used. And so a guy who was just worked, I think he worked for the Georgia Strait at the time or something, came up with one
Okay.
quickly in a few days. We hadn't seen it. It was already on the record. It was already, the record company, and they were already printed when a guy from CBS came to our hotel in Toronto and just dropped one off. And I know George wasn't
Wow.
very happy about the record cover. He was just
Yeah.
because it was his friend who was supposed to get his cover on there.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things that happened there, but that we were getting people, coming and asking about the debts there, and so we went back off the road with that one as well. And I went on, to do um, promoting some metal shows in Vancouver to try to just keep my hands in it. So I'd be playing with some people and just working with all the local metal bands in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I created a Metal Monday at a club called Club Soda there, and every Monday all the metal bands would come there, and some would be playing, and it ended up drawing all the bands that came to Vancouver to record, like Aerosmith and Motley Crue and Metallica and all
Oh,
those
wow.
bands. Lots of those people came to the Metal Monday because it was kind of
Yeah.
a place to hang out with your crowd. And I did that for a few years, promoting shows. Some concerts were fairly successful that I put on, with Extreme and Great White and Billy Sheehan, and I was having fun doing that, but that kind of started to fade. The club scene was starting to fade, so I just took a different turn at that time. I was really kind of good at working in the studio. I knew how all the digital equipment that was new and coming in. I knew how it all worked.
Yeah.
I was programming a lot of it myself.
And there's a lot of that out there too in Vancouver, I'd imagine. A lot of work for
Yeah,
that
and so
that
I
time.
I, I ended up going back to school for a few years and getting a degree in that. And worked in that. I'm still working in that as
Yeah.
a big money maker for me. And I did end up working for a startup that created the first online poker site in the world,
Oh, really? Wow, I didn't know that.
and it's called Paradise Poker.
Okay.
And they were grossing like $9-10 million a day from that site.
Oh my God.
And there was only like 15 people in the company,
Yeah.
and they sold that off, and they gave me quite a good chunk of money for doing that. And that I built myself a castle and a house out here in the forest, and decided, oh well, now I'll go back and start playing music now that I have less to fear.
Yeah, definitely. More in control of it too now.
That's when I first got the band back together, and we really, really tried to get George involved in 2004. Tried and tried and tried, but he was, involved in the film industry at the time, and just didn't feel like he didn't want to get involved in, that kind of music anymore. He felt like
Yeah.
it was past and
Because
gone.
he was in Vancouver too, right? That's where he was working at the
Yeah,
time, or
yeah,
yeah.
he was, and he still is. Actually, he's living with our guitarist Ray. They
Okay.
actually live together right now on the same property out on Vancouver Island. So we're still communicating with him all the time, and we're still asking him to do at least some cameos.
Yeah, that would be
Last
amazing.
album, and he hasn't said no, but he hasn't said yes. And Ray said that, oh, he will. He'll do
That's a yes then. Yeah, come on.
it. But can't hold him to it. He hasn't said yes yet,
For
so
sure.
we'll see what happens there. But yeah,
Awesome.
that's kind of the the way everything has ended up now. we're all still friends, and it's it's a brotherhood.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it. And now talking about an album you have a little bit more control over than the cover art for Rock the World there.
Yeah,
Have you come up with a name yet for the new album? I've heard you talk about some of the singles. There was one especially that I thought was a good name for the album, but have you come up with a name yet, or is it still tentative? Or
I'd be interested in hearing yours first.
I believe it was not Out for Sin, One Last Sin. Is that what the song was called?
One More Sin.
One More Sin. Okay, I apologize. I thought that was a really good one. There's
We've already
probably more than that,
we've already
but
committed a few, and it may not be the last one, but it's one more. So yeah, we've had a few people say, and I think that was my original intention when I wrote that song.
yeah,
And yeah, I think that it's a very high energy song that we're still changing things in that one because we really want it to come off. It's kind of like really high speed, rock the world
okay,
sort of thing. We want to make sure everything maintains that high energy all the way through. So we've been
yeah,
finding anywhere where where there's any kind of lull and just saying, no, we got to make that. It's all got to be just super hard and super fast all the way through. And we might, use that title. It was the original one I was thinking of using at the beginning. It was the first song I wrote for these, and then co-wrote it with other people in the band afterwards to kind of massage it
yeah.
into what everyone likes. And it's a really great song for Brian Strummings. He just goes crazy in that. So
Awesome. Can't wait to hear it live then. That's great.
big, huge ending.
Great.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
that's
Do we
where
have
we're at. There's some other ones we were thinking of. Like we've got "Out of Control" is another song on there that we could name
okay.
after, and "Animal," which is kind of about our attitude back in the '80s, and you know,
It seems like a lot of the songs are like you said, Blackout Crazy kind of has that vibe as well, definitely.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's awesome.
Blackout Crazy specifically about a after hours dress sort of band room we had in Calgary
Okay.
above the Beacon, the Beacon, which was the Frankie and Johnny's North, and it was just really renowned for after every bar closed, that's where everybody went, and every band showed up there, and it was always just wall to wall people, and so
Great vibes. Great
yeah,
vibes, it
and
sounds like.
Blackout Crazy kind of described the way everybody was acting there.
Yeah. Awesome. So I see that we're in or that you're in the Kick-Axe Cave, I think is what you had called it earlier when I was speaking with you. Do
Yeah.
you have a specific guitar that you've been playing with for a long time, like a custom or a signature guitar, or do you have a few that you use depending on what song you're playing?
I only have two that I
Two?
play.
Okay.
I play the Dean guitar. It's a Blueburst Dean guitar. It's been totally retrofitted to be very similar to a Jimmy Page layout with the tone controls and the pull-ups and the toggle switches. He's got a specific wiring that is pretty much adopted by a lot of players, and
Okay.
I have a different person. I could almost do it myself, but I have a person who's a little bit better at wiring that stuff do it for me, and we just agreed that. And it's got it doesn't have the same pickups. It's got some really high energy ones, but I love the color of it and the feel of it and the neck, so I kept that. But the main guitar I play is still an old Gibson 1960 SG,
Okay.
which I've been playing forever, and uh, it always gets the sound I want, and it's a little lighter. So on stage,
Yeah, that's nice.
if it's like a 60 to 90 minute set, I'll tend to play most of the set with that one. If it's a
Yeah,
45-minute set, I'll play the Dean guitar a lot more.
a little bit easier on you. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, definitely. I did want to ask you as well, because everybody who commented on the post when we said we'd be talking to you or anyone I've talked to, the first thing they asked is, when can I get tickets? When can I get tickets? And I said, keep reading the post. It's an interview. It's not a show. But are you going to be touring with the new album as well? Are you going to be coming back to Winnipeg this year, or do you know when?
That's the plan. We want to tour to support the album when it comes out.
Yeah.
We have a promoter in Eastern Canada and a promoter in Western Canada that are working on dates. They've come to us with dates, but some of them just don't line up, and so we're
Yeah.
trying to get dates in all the places we'd like to play, which are quite a few of them, and you know, all the way. We don't know if we'll go much farther than Ontario, maybe into Quebec, but I'm not sure if we can make it much further than that. I'd love to go out to Nova Scotia and that, but It
Yeah,
all
cool.
depends on whether there's a venue that's suitable for us in
Yeah.
each of these places.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. It seems like you really like the Club Regent venue down here. I think I've seen you there a few times with whether it's Helix or Killer Dwarfs.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. The Grey Eagle in Calgary and Club Regent in Winnipeg. Those
Nice.
places have really nice rooms, nice, all
Yeah.
the sound and lighting is just impeccable in those places, and the crews are just a pleasure to work with.
Awesome. And yeah, I was going to ask about that. I assumed that the green room was very comfortable because I know that venue for the fans is one of the most comfortable venues ever. It has these very padded chairs that kind of lean back instead of forward. And yeah, it's
Yeah,
with the lights dimmed there. Yeah, sometimes you get a little drowsy between the sets.
yeah, it's really well done, and
Yeah.
they know how to do things there. Both the Grey Eagle in Calgary and the Regent in Winnipeg are very similar in that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know how to put on shows.
That's awesome.
It's always a pleasure. We play there anytime, either one of those venues.
And that's what you want. Yeah, you want to be as comfortable as you can be. So that's awesome. Great. Well, I'm hoping that you are going to be able to tour this year. I want to thank you again for speaking with me on Peg City Sound
Oh,
Off. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I always have people asking me about Kickaxe, so and people are always really happy to talk about Kickaxe when you bring it up to them here in Winnipeg. So it's great to talk
well,
with you. Thank you.
it's just a pleasure to talk with you, Tom. I don't know if it's
Awesome.
Tom or Thomas or.
Either one. Tom works. No problem at all.
Okay. Yeah, it's a pleasure talking with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for watching, everybody,
Yeah,
and hope to see you soon in Winnipeg.
I hope so too. I love
Awesome.
playing in Winnipeg.
Awesome. Thank you.